Alright, so today we are going to do a little practice. Everybody can open up their screen, their Photoshop, using Command, Option, and Shift, and open up Photoshop. At this point, you guys already should have Photoshop open, but I just wanted to remind you to hold down Command, Option, Shift when you're opening Photoshop. So you're going to go to File, New, and this should be titled Practice with your name. I'm going to put the block. It's going to be US paper. You can select US paper through the preset and hit OK. And a blank document's going to come up. Remember, this is your first toolbar. This is your tool options bar. Your toolbox, your palettes. Okay? We are going to use the paintbrush. I'm going to click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tools down, click and hold the paintbrush, and your tool options bar will change. And these are the changes you can make with the paintbrush. You can change the opacity, which is how light and dark things are. You can change the flow, the rate of something, how much it comes out. I like to, you can change your size here, but I like to bring this toolbar down right here. You just click this little folder, it can open and close, because there are lots of choices for you in here. And we are going to make a painting today. To switch your colors, you can pick any color over here. I also like to go to swatches. I'm going to pick any random color. You really are just going to paint a picture for me. I want you to see the different presets. When we're learning about Photoshop, there are a few things that I like to tell kids. There are 5,000 different ways for you to do the exact same things. There are shortcuts for you to do them. I teach you the basic ways, and then you guys can go from there. So I'm going to choose just a round brush. There's all different shapes, but I'm just going to choose just a regular old round brush. These brushes are kind of cool. You can see the pressure that you're putting on the brush, but I'm just going to use this. And I'm going to choose a brown, and I want to make my brush a little bit bigger because I'm going to make the base of a tree here. And if I make a mistake or if I don't like what I'm doing, I can hit Command Delete, and that'll go back to white. So I'm just going to make a little tree here. I don't need to color the whole thing in. If you really want to get fancy and use shapes, you could do that down here. But you don't need to. You can just use your paintbrush. You're not doing anything fancy. Your requirements for this basic project is just that you use 2 colors and 2 different brushes. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can do some different techniques with brushes. So here's my tree trunk. It looks kind of rough, but whatever. And then I'm going to pick a green next. I'm going to pull my palette back up here, and I'm going to go to the leaf pattern. There's a couple different types of leaves. There's this leaf, and then there's this leaf. And you can change the spacing of your leaf, and you'll see down here where the leaves will change. You could change the size again. I can go to Shape Dynamics and can change, some will be small, some will be a little bit bigger. I can change how far apart some of them are. I can do the angle, so they'll be all different angles. And then this actually makes it look 3-dimensional. If you go down to scattering, make sure you click on it so it goes to a light gray. I can do something similar to change my scatter. So it's not just in a line, it looks more like a natural pattern. You can change the count so there's quite a few of them, and they're overlapped a little bit more. One cool effect that I like to do is the color dynamics. You can kind of change your color a little bit, and I'll show you. We'll do, right, we want it to be pretty pure, so I'm going to actually just make my brush a little bigger so you can really see it. And you'll notice that it's got a couple different greens, but not very many. So I'm going to change my purity. I'm going to do a plus 30. There you go. So you have a variety of greens coming up. If you're making a tree, I do not absolutely positively want to see just a big circle for your tree. So there's my tree. I can even change it and add the red for fall. So we're coming up to fall, or a brownish color. Okay. And then you can do the same thing. If you go back to brush tip shapes, you can get some grass. And for my grass, I do not want my grass to be scattered. Come on. So I want it all to be straight. And I'm going to go back to a green here for my grass. And I might need to make my grass a little bit bigger. Yep. I'm going to make my brush a little bigger. And, ooh, now we have some grass. Alright. So like I said, your job is today you're going to make one picture. You need to use at least 2 colors, and you need to use at least 2 different brushes. But you'll see, I used 3 brushes. I used 1 brush for my tree trunk, 1 brush for my leaves, and 1 brush for my grass. Make sure you save it. When I save this, I'm going to go to File, Save As. And my box is going to pop up. I'm going to go to the correct folder. Remember, we're using Bridget Ruggiano. If I don't find my folder, you guys are going to use the folder with your name on it specifically. I can find it over here. Sometimes you have to go to Desktop. I'll find Bridget Ruggiano. And I'm just going to save it in my Project 1 folder. Once I'm done doing that, I can then go ahead and move it into my Dropbox. But I don't need to do that today because we're still working on Project 1. Another real quick thing, we do not, and if you're finished with a project, you can save it as a JPEG, but I always tell students never, ever, ever, ever save as a JPEG first. You always want your projects to be saved as a Photoshop document. So the end on here should be a PSD. What happens is if you save your work as a JPEG, you can't go back and change it or fix it. I can't edit, step back, I can't do anything. I have to start over from scratch. So always save it as the Photoshop document first, because the minute you save it as a JPEG, you cannot change anything. I can't go back and open the JPEG and then resave it as a Photoshop document because it's not going to work. It's going to be flat. You always need to make sure you're saving the Photoshop document first. Okay, so everybody's going to go ahead and save that, and you will be all finished.